Statement.
Yeah, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger Cameron says it's time to talk about the possibility of legalizing marijuana as a way to raise money.
I think that we ought to study very carefully on what other countries are doing that have legalized marijuana and other drugs, what effect did it have on those countries.
He's not saying that he's for it. He says he just wants a debate on it, that he doesn't really support the idea of legal drugs. Live from Washington, Rob Kampia, who's the executive director of the Marijuana Policy Project. You'd like to see marijuana legalized. Tell me why, Rob.
Well, you know, marijuana was first prohibited in 1937, and I think it's pretty clear that after 72 years of marijuana prohibition in this country, that marijuana prohibition is not keeping adults or teenagers from using marijuana. So the whole point of prohibition was to keep marijuana away from people, yet 100 million people in this country have used marijuana in their lives. Clearly, this is a government program that's not working, and it's time for a new approach.
What about the argument that so many people make against legalizing it, that it is a gateway drug, that it leads to using much more serious drugs? And just today, Barry McCaffrey told my co-anchor that he's gone to all these 12-step meetings for people who were addicted to drugs, and asked them, would you ever say to a teenager that it's okay to use marijuana? And they all say no.
Well, Barry McCaffrey is one of the least credible people on this issue. I also heard him say a few minutes ago on MSNBC that marijuana is essentially already decriminalized in this country. I couldn't believe my ears. There are 872,000 marijuana arrests a year, which is more arrests than murder, rape, and assault combined. So to say that marijuana is already decriminalized is as absurd as saying that murder, rape, and assault are decriminalized in this country. So he's not a credible person at all on this issue.
Rob, I appreciate that you have such strong opinions about it. Let me bring in Chief Scott Kirkland with the El Cerrito Police Department in California. He joins me on the phone. I'm assuming, Chief, that you probably have some pretty strong opinions about whether marijuana should be legalized as well.
Yes, I do, and I think that all chiefs should, and I think all concerned citizens should. I think it's very, very troubling. I found that the governor's statement is both interesting as well as troubling in the same context. I think it's interesting because I think we do need research on the issue of marijuana, and I'm talking about the actual crude material. And I think that the policy so far has been to debate this without the proper knowledge or scientific background on the substance itself.
I am getting inundated, Chief Kirkland, with messages from people today on Twitter and on Facebook pointing out that that marijuana, that pot, is no more harmful than alcohol. And they say you don't see people smoking pot going out beating up their spouses, and alcohol is legal. Isn't the problem here really with the behavior and not with the drug use itself?
I disagree with that. I think when you look at the drug itself, I think you need to look at the substance, and we're talking about THC, and we need to look at how it's been compounded over the years. I think the most interesting aspect of it is that people are talking about marijuana now and thinking about it in terms of 1960s and 1970s, but that's not the marijuana that we're talking about today.
So would you be willing to engage in a debate about it? I mean, do you think it is time, at least for the debate to happen in a respectful forum?
I'm not quite sure a debate would be the proper form. I think that the issue needs to be talked about in an open manner. I think more research is needed on the topic. I think a lot of research needs to be done, and I think it's being done right now in some of the foreign countries, such as Australia as well as England. And I think we need more research in the United States on the topic.
Chief, I appreciate so much you sharing your take with us. Thanks.